The room was silent, the hum of fluorescent lights filling the space as the mission briefing began. I leaned over the map, spread across the table, eyes tracing every contour of the enemy compound outlined in red. A low, urgent voice broke the quiet, detailing the patrol rotations, surveillance cameras, and the perimeter defenses. Every word sank in like a weight on my chest. One misstep here, one wrong move, and the mission would fail before it even began. The target was high value, hidden deep within a maze of guards, sensors, and lethal consequences. My mind ran through the routes, the escape paths, every potential obstacle. With the briefing concluded, I moved to gear up. The soft click of night vision goggles snapping into place echoed in the room. I checked the rifle scope, ran my fingers over the suppressor, ensuring everything was silent, precise, ready. Communication devices were tested, every channel clear, every frequency secure. I strapped on the tactical vest, feeling its weight settle against my body, grounding me in the reality of what lay ahead. Each movement was deliberate, almost ritualistic. Preparation was the only certainty in the chaos to come. Outside, darkness awaited. The unknown stretched beyond the perimeter lines, a void punctuated only by distant lights and the occasional movement of shadows. My heartbeat quickened with anticipation, nerves taut as I imagined crossing that boundary undetected. Questions raced through my mind. Would the plan hold under total darkness? Could I anticipate every patrol, every sensor, every unpredictable hazard? The silence of the briefing room was gone, replaced by a tense, almost tangible expectancy. Tonight, every decision, every action would matter. And as I adjusted my gloves and breathed deeply, I knew one thing. There was no turning back. The mission had begun even before stepping into the shadows. The night air was cold, heavy with the scent of wet earth and distant smoke. I crouched at the tree line, eyes scanning the dim horizon. The enemy perimeter stretched ahead, marked by faint flickers of patrol lights and the occasional shadow of a moving figure. Every sound was amplified. The crunch of gravel under my boots, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, the muffled clink of metal from a distant sentry. Each step required absolute precision, every movement deliberate. One misstep, and the entire mission would be compromised. I edged forward, hugging the darkness, relying on the glow of night vision to guide me. A low murmur of enemy voices floated on the wind, indistinct but constant, a reminder that I was not alone. My pulse quickened as I approached a stretch of open ground. The path was risky, but there was no alternative. I froze as a spotlight swept across the perimeter, its beam slicing through the darkness just meters away. My breath caught, and I pressed myself into the shadow of a nearby wall, heart hammering, waiting for the sweep to pass. The seconds felt like hours. Once clear, I moved again, slower now, calculating every step, listening for the faintest hint of danger. The terrain demanded full focus. Shifting gravel, low fences, tangled vegetation, all potential hazards. I imagined the worst-case scenario at each turn, prepared to react instantly. Adrenaline surged, even sharpening every sense. The enemy base loomed closer with every careful step, a looming maze of risk and opportunity. And as I finally reached the first line of cover within the compound, the mission truly began. The real test of skill, patience, and nerve played out in absolute darkness. Once inside the enemy compound, the atmosphere changed instantly. Darkness thickened, shadows pooled in corners, and every sound seemed magnified. I pressed against a cold concrete wall, my night vision goggles cutting through the blackness with an eerie green glow. Distant chatter echoed down narrow hallways, punctuated by the rhythmic clack of boots on metal grates. Every turn, every step demanded vigilance. The wrong move would mean discovery. I moved like a ghost, careful to avoid the patchy pools of light spilling from security lamps and the occasional window. The compound was a labyrinth, corridors twisted unpredictably, storage rooms and supply crates offering both cover and obstacles. I paused as a patrol passed just meters away, their flashlight sweeping past the corner I hid behind. My breath slowed, heartbeat pounding in my ears. Every detail mattered. The slight squeak of a hinge, the distant hum of a generator, the rustle of papers in an abandoned office. Improvisation became instinct. A dropped pen on the floor, a tilted crate, a shadowed doorway, each became a tool to stay unseen. Suddenly, a near-detection incident spiked my adrenaline. A patrol doubled back unexpectedly, their eyes scanning the darkness, flashlight beams swinging dangerously close. I flattened myself against the wall, every muscle rigid, counting each second as the beam passed without noticing me. The tension was electric, a living reminder that a single error would end everything. Slowly, methodically, I resumed movement, slipping through corridors, tracking the route to the target location I had memorized. With every careful step, the mission stakes became more tangible, the danger more real. The target was close now, and each shadow, each sound, each heartbeat drew me deeper into the nerve-wracking reality of surviving undetected in a hostile environment. The moment I reached the target building, a cold shiver ran down my spine. The objective was finally in sight. Yet the real challenge was only beginning. The structure loomed ahead, its darkened windows reflecting faint moonlight, shadows crawling along the walls. I paused. I'm scanning for sensors and patrols, memorizing each faint sound, the hum of a security panel, the soft creak of a floorboard, distant voices echoing from inside. Every detail mattered. One misstep, one overlooked alarm could compromise everything I had worked toward. I slipped through the side entrance, careful to avoid the pressure-sensitive floor mats I had spotted during recon. Inside, the room was a maze of servers and locked cabinets, wires snaking across the floor like metallic veins. My gloved hands moved with practiced precision, lifting panels, inputting access codes, and plugging in the data extraction device. The seconds felt like minutes. The faint blinking of lights and the subtle vibration of machinery heightened the tension. Outside, patrols shifted unpredictably, and I could hear them approaching closer than expected, their footsteps echoing against concrete walls. Suddenly, a sensor beeped faintly. Oh, a near alarm triggered by my movement. My heart jumped, adrenaline spiking, but I didn't freeze. Instead, I adapted, adjusting the device's position, holding my breath, and waiting for the signal to reset. Every moment demanded focus and calm under pressure. As the data transfer completed, I exhaled silently, the weight of the risk still pressing down. Each careful step I had taken, every improvisation under stress had led to this success. The intel was secured, but the mission was far from over. My exit now would be just as critical, and the path back through the shadows promised no less tension, keeping the danger alive for the audience and drawing them deeper into the POV experience. With the intel secured, the tension shifted from careful extraction to pure survival. The corridors that had once offered concealment now felt like a gauntlet. Every shadow could hide an enemy patrol, every floorboard a potential trap. I moved quickly, but deliberately, checking corners, pausing when the faintest sound of movement reached my ears. My night vision highlighted the faint reflections of patrol boots on metal grates ahead, forcing me to adjust my path and timing. Each step demanded precision. One mistake now could unravel everything. Suddenly, a distant alarm triggered, a soft, mechanical beep that hinted at reinforcements already mobilizing. I froze for a heartbeat, calculating the risk before darting into a storage room to avoid detection. Boxes stacked haphazardly offered temporary cover, and I used them to obscure my silhouette, holding my breath as a squad of guards swept past. My pulse pounded in my ears, and the adrenaline sharpened every sense. The faint scrape of a boot, the whisper of a door opening, the shifting shadows of moving patrols. Improvisation became instinct. I rerouted through a maintenance tunnel, ducking under pipes and avoiding exposed wiring that could trigger a silent alarm. The final stretch brought environmental hazards, a slick patch of oil on the floor, a loose grate that threatened to give way under weight. Each obstacle demanded split-second decisions. Hesitation could be fatal. The night was alive with tension. the danger immediate and relentless. As I slipped through the final line of fencing, unseen and unscathed, the weight of every calculated move pressed down. Escape was no longer just about reaching safety. It was a testament to skill, awareness, and nerves of steel. The audience is left gripping the edge of their seat, immersed in the POV experience, feeling each pulse of danger as I disappear into the shadows beyond the enemy perimeter. The extraction point came into view, a dimly lit clearing at the edge of the compound, marked only by the faint glow of signal lights. I crouched low, scanning for movement, every nerve alert. The night was far from safe. Reinforcements could appear at any moment. The hum of the extraction vehicle grew louder, a promise of escape, yet each second stretched like an eternity. My hands tightened around my gear, ready for immediate action if the perimeter became hostile. As the vehicle slowed to a stop, I slipped inside, the door closing silently behind me. Relief surged, but it was tempered by the adrenaline still coursing through my veins. The ride back was tense, every shadow outside the window a potential threat, every distant sound triggering hyper-awareness. I allowed myself brief reflection, thinking over the mission, every calculated step, every improvisation under pressure, every narrow avoidance of detection. The intelligence secured tonight had been critical, but so had been maintaining absolute focus, discipline, and nerve. Even in the supposed safety of extraction, suspense lingered. The driver's eyes flicked constantly to the perimeter, scanning for ambushes or late patrols. I felt the weight of the night settle, knowing the mission's success rested not only on completing objectives, but surviving intact. As the clearing faded behind us and darkness gave way to the faint glow of distant lights, a quiet sense of accomplishment mixed with lingering tension. The operation had been executed flawlessly, yet the memory of close calls, the rapid decisions, and the constant threat remained vivid. This debrief, silent and internal, marked the culmination of the high-stakes journey, leaving both protagonist and audience acutely aware of the peril and precision that defined every moment of the mission. As the vehicle carried me away from the enemy compound, the adrenaline that had driven every movement began to ebb, replaced by the weight of reflection. The night's operation played back in my mind with vivid clarity. The tense approach, under cover of darkness, the careful navigation of patrols, the delicate extraction of intelligence, and the near misses that could have ended everything in an instant. Each decision had demanded precision, focus, and nerves of steel. It was a stark reminder of how high the stakes had been and how fragile the line between success and failure truly is. I allowed myself a moment to breathe, absorbing the silence around me. Even now, the danger felt real. Every shadow outside the vehicle, every distant sound, reminded me that the enemy was never far away. Yet there was a sense of accomplishment that came from executing the mission with methodical precision. The experience of operating entirely in darkness, where every choice could mean life or death, crystallized in a single thought. This had been the ultimate test of skill, patience, and resolve. And as I stared into the night, I realized it perfectly captured the essence of what had just unfolded. POV, infiltrating enemy base under total darkness. The title wasn't just words. It was the lived reality of every step, every heartbeat, and every silent decision made under extreme pressure. The mission was complete, but the story lingered, the tension, the uncertainty, the thrill of operating unseen. What happens next remains unknown, leaving the audience suspended in that precarious balance of danger and survival, fully immersed in the POV experience and eager to follow the next chapter of operations in the shadows.